All right, YouTubers, hello. Sorry, nobody's at YouTube yet, but they'll be there shortly since I only opened the room 2 seconds ago. Sorry. All right, you guys are good. YouTube's come along. TikTok going live now. No video where for who, what? Who doesn't have video where? Is Doug the only one that doesn't have video on Discord? Who else? Anybody else than Doug? Okay, Doug, it's going to be on your end then. Oh, there's you. Or Discord also is funny sometimes. Try leaving and coming back. I would try for Doug out there. Try closing the app and coming back because sometimes it does funky things on Discord. There's YouTube and there's TikTok. Hello, guys. Sorry for the delay starting today. Up, gifts already coming in. Thank you all. Microphone. Oh, if you insist I put on the good microphone, I guess I can. TikTok. One moment. Good point. I told you, whenever I come back from traveling, it's difficult for me to remember. I need like a checklist, even though I don't really need a checklist. There we go. It still confuses me when I come back from traveling. I get like discombobulated on how to do the show, like all the little things like the microphone. Hey, who was that? Ellie or Fila? Stan, Italy was fabulous. Thank you. Thank you guys for the gifts. Italy was amazing. I always love Europe. And actually the French airport was fun too. I got to spend like a little over an hour shopping in the French airport and speaking French to everybody. And it was fun. I hadn't done that in 10 years. So that was enjoyable. Oh, interesting. Katie, you've never had video on Discord? Weird. Discord, syndicates tried. Discord just gets funky for some people. We can't figure out why. Where are we in Ukraine? We're going to talk about it. Thank you, Richard, for the gift. So welcome, everybody. I'm John Aravosis. The regulars know. Anybody who's new on TikTok or YouTube or anywhere, I am the host. We do this every night, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. We talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Then we talk also about the latest news from Trump. Sometimes it's interconnected. Today, there's more news on Trump and Ukraine. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to remind people too, for TikTokers, actually mods, let's keep reminding people on TikTok to follow me on TikTok, but other services too, because that TikTok ban is still in place, so to speak. You know what I mean? We're still waiting to see, but it's not like it's going to go forever. And we have no idea what's happening with TikTok being sold. So it still would not be a bad idea to follow your favorite creators or whatever on TikTok. Follow them on TikTok, but make sure you follow them other places as well, just to be safe. No PC. I did a show last night as well. I got back Monday night, so I was a little tired. Oh, thank you, Ron. Is that Running that did the bow knot? Thank you, Running, for the bow knot. But actually, I'm gonna take my sweater off. I'm actually warm today. It was sort of unseasonably warm in DC, and my apartment is just warm. Mike Johnson was not arrested for DUI. His chief of staff was Vegan Deb. Unless the news changed in the last half hour, but his chief of staff was arrested, which is still kind of a wild story. So welcome, guys. So we're going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about Ukraine, the usual. Make sure you follow me. Also, make sure to keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else. I do this for a living, and your gifts help pay the bills. So thank you for that. Let's get rolling here. So last night was Trump's State of the Union address. Anybody who's not familiar, the State of the Union is an annual address. I think it's actually in the Constitution. I'm pretty sure it is in the Constitution that every year the president should do an address to Congress, or not an address. The president should present to Congress the State of the Union, how our country is faring. And some people argue that it doesn't have to be a speech. It could be a written statement. Nonetheless, historically, going back a number of years, thank you for the gifts, guys, on TikTok. Historically, going back a number of years, presidents have given an oral address to Congress. It's a big deal. It's kind of stupid in a way because, honestly, not that many people watch the speech. I mean, it's not like it's got a huge audience. And at the same time, it's usually, I'm going to do this and this and this, and it's not really stuff they're going to do. So Trump, in any case, last night was interesting. Trump went on for about 30 to 45 minutes. His first 30 to 45 minutes were about the culture war. They were all attacks on transgender people, on DEI and all that kind of crazy stuff. A little weird, I would argue. The problem is, for Trump, and who knows if this is going to catch up with him or not. But Trump got elected because of the economy. And voters were worried about the economy. Now, the economy was doing very well. Thank you, Carmelina. Other than inflation, although inflation was relatively tamed, the problem with inflation is when prices go up, they usually don't ever come down again. Eggs are an exception, but eggs have gone up and down and up and down, right? But often, think of the airlines and stuff, right? Remember the airlines? Because there was such a crisis with fuel prices being so high that they had to exceptionally charge us for seat selection and blankets and the bags. Remember the bags? Your bag you check on the plane, $25 each way. And that was because fuel prices were so exceptionally high. And then fuel prices came down and they never got rid of the bag, the bag purchase option. So now all of us have to pay $25 for each bag we check on a plane, even though fuel prices are down. So that's the problem with inflation is very often prices go up and companies try to gouge you basically, and they don't lower the prices when they come down. In any case, Trump gets elected. Voters are pissed about inflation. Trump says, on day one, I am going to get prices down. I'm going to fix the problem with egg prices on day one. We're on day, Alexa, how many days has it been since January 20th, 2025? Let's see if she can do this.
January 20th, 2025 was 43 days ago.
43 days ago. We are 43 days since Donald Trump promised on day one he was going to fix the egg price problem. Well, he didn't. What was interesting about his speech last night, he spent the first 45 minutes, as I said, 30 to 45 minutes raving about trans people and the culture war stuff. Didn't talk about the economy until about 45 minutes in. That's not very good. Let's see if it ends up biting him. His agriculture secretary kind of screwed up today. Thank you, Mrs. Toad. His agriculture secretary said today that if you're upset about egg prices being high, you ought to go buy a chicken. Her quote was absolutely kind of incredible. She said, I'm hearing that people are going out and buying chickens so they can raise their chickens at home and have their own eggs. And I think it's just awesome. She also wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal last week. Thank you for the, what is that? The Galaxy. Thank you, Norway, for the Galaxy. She also wrote an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal last week that said the same thing about, if you're upset about chicken prices, go get a chicken. That's cute. And again, some of you can get chickens. Gunther's got chickens. But for most of us, I can't get chickens. I live in an apartment. Where am I going to put chickens? My neighbors, my condo board would kill me if I put chickens on the balcony, right? It's the kind of, it reminds me, was it J.D. Vance who said when he was talking about people saying that they both got to get jobs and they can't afford to get childcare when the mom and the dad both have to get jobs? And he said, well, then go have the grandma watch the kids if you're complaining about needing childcare. And people were like, well, not everybody's got a grandma to watch the kids. Not every grandma has the time herself to watch your kids, I just thought it was interesting. Democrats, I'm still undecided on what happened last night with Democrats, whether it was a good thing or not. But Democrats were very vocal last night. They held little signs and stuff. One Democrat, oh my God, somebody get me her name. Was it Marianne something? One of the Democrats held a sign behind Trump right as he was walking down the aisle to come to give his speech. And her sign said, she was written by hand, said, "This is not normal," which was really kind of brilliant. Thank you for the gift there, Marie. Other Democrats held up signs saying, he's not telling the truth. Don't cut Medicaid, this kind of stuff. One Democratic congressman got up and, oh God, remind me, folks. I'm sorry, but I'm spacing out here. I did see this, but I'm forgetting. Got up and I think was telling Trump not to cut. Was it Medicaid or what was he saying? Don't you cut Medicaid or what? Al Green. Thank you. It was Al Green. But what exactly did he say, guys? What was it that Green initially started talking? Was it Medicaid? It was Medicaid. Oh no, it was the mandate. Yeah. It was, you have no mandate. Thank you guys on TikTok. It was, you have no mandate. And I believe, well, there you go. You have no mandate to cut Medicaid. No, Medicaid, for anybody who's not American, Medicaid is our program we have that provides health insurance to people who are poor, but also people with disabilities and also some seniors as well. But mostly it's a program for poor people to get health insurance. The thing to keep in mind is just because they're poor doesn't make them Democrats. A lot of poor people are Republicans, especially nowadays. So he complained about that. It was very interesting because he refused to sit down, and J.D. Vance, as the vice president, is the president of the Senate. It's the way sort of our rules work. Vance had to ask the sergeant at arms, the police with the guns, to escort the congressman out, which I can't recall that happening before. That was very interesting. But like I said, some people, Republicans certainly felt, oh, the Democrats made a mockery, blah, blah, blah. Republicans have also yelled at Democrats. Now, I have not liked it when Republicans have yelled at Democrats before. Here's the problem. And I find people make this mistake a lot. They often assume that an action is wrong because the act itself is wrong, not the purpose behind the act. What I mean is, I'm trying to think of it because we're on TikTok and TikTok gets all weird. YouTube only gets a little bit weird. TikTok gets very weird. But you could use a gun to go target shooting. That would be okay, right? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal. There's nothing immoral about using a gun to shoot targets. Using a gun to shoot animals, I find that a bit immoral or unethical. Some people would find it okay, right? Using a gun to hurt a person. Well, is that per se bad? Not necessarily. Police are allowed to use guns to hurt people, right? And if the police use it against a bad guy, that's a good thing. If police use it against somebody who isn't a bad guy or didn't deserve it, then it's a bad thing. My point here is often in politics, you will hear people say, oh, he did this and that's a bad thing. For example, when Trump threatened Zelensky with cutting off aid the last time Trump was president, remember he tried to extort Zelensky to discover fake information about Biden to create a scandal for the election. And he said, I'd like you to do me a favor, though, Trump said, right? Think adventures for Polaris. And basically the favor was Trump wanted Zelensky to dig up fake scandals about Biden with Ukraine. And the Republicans turned around and said, aha, but Joe Biden also threatened to cut off aid to Ukraine. And they trying to claim it's the same thing because, oh, you said cutting off aid to Ukraine was bad. No, cutting off aid to Ukraine is bad when you do it for the wrong reasons, right? Cutting off aid to Ukraine because Ukraine has a corrupt prosecutor and the entire world wants that prosecutor gone, that's justified. Cutting off aid to Ukraine because you want Ukraine to create evidence, fake evidence to influence the American election, that's bad. Cutting off aid to Ukraine because you are, for example, working for Vladimir Putin secretly, that would be wrong, right? So I come back to where we are with this. What I was bringing this up was what the Democrats did last night. Previous years, I did not like the Republicans screaming at Obama, for example, and Biden too, because it was crazy people. It was crazy people screaming at Biden and Obama because they're crazy people, right? They weren't doing it because Obama and Biden did something really wrong. Donald Trump, and again, I have to be careful how I say these things because our TikTok overlords are sensitive, but Donald Trump poses a unique threat to our democracy. And, a member of Congress standing up and contradicting him publicly, is that really that big a sin when he represents such a serious evil? I don't think so. I think if we all thought back to the 1930s and we said, remember that politician who stood up during a speech by Mussolini or the other guy and he contradicted him? That was very rude. Right? It was very rude to contradict Mussolini. Really? Right? Come on, But having said that, the question then becomes, is it politically a smart move? And one of the things I'm always sort of lecturing to people with I've worked in politics for 40 years. And one of the things I always lecture people about is just because something feels good doesn't mean you should do it in politics. Just because your base likes it, or just because your own party members like it, doesn't mean you should do it. You always have to think of what's your goal, what are you trying to achieve, and are your actions achieving that goal? In other words, in this case, who were Democrats trying to influence last night? And would this be the best way to send a message to those people the Democrats are trying to influence? I don't know. I really am. I'm very divided on it. I will say my gut is very glad they did it. Because I do think, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Crystal, as well for the gifts. Oh, we got Nemo again. Who got me the Nemo? Craig, thank you. Very cool. Appreciate that. Trump is a unique threat. And just as a gut reaction, I think it's important people stand up to him. And it's important politicians say this is not normal, what he's doing. So in that case, I at least have an emotional response that says it's good that they're doing this and standing up. But, and I'm just going to leave it with this, because my background is politics, and my background isn't just politics, but it's actually doing things that matter and work in politics, right? Political activism, things like that. You still need to make sure that you're not just doing something because it feels good, but you're doing something because it does accomplish the larger goal you're trying to accomplish, doesn't turn people off, that kind of thing, right? Anyway, just throwing it out there. Trump also last night, what was that from? Thank you, Adventurers, for Polaris as well. Trump also last night, well, okay, was it just me? Or did he kind of sound like he was threatening to go to war with Panama and Denmark last night? Did he not sound that way again from what he said? Trump basically last night said, and I'm paraphrasing, but Trump said, we're going to get the Panama Canal and we're going to take it back, basically. And, I mean, how else do you get the Panama Canal back, right? From Panama, you take it by force. He also said something about Greenland. I don't have it in front of me, but it wasn't, if Greenland decides in a vote that they want to join us, they can. He said something that sounded to me more like a threat to go and take it. I just don't get it. I think it's kind of amazing. I will say that, unfortunately, our voters are rather simplistic, and they voted for Trump to end all wars, and now Trump has threatened war against Greenland, Denmark, Canada, Mexico, China, Panama. We said Panama, maybe. Oh, Gaza. Trump just put out a statement threatening to kill everybody in Gaza now. I don't know if you saw this one. Thank you, Adventures. Callum just gave me this. It's on Trump's Facebook page. This is a little difficult because I cannot read you. This is how weird. This is the upside down world we live in. Trump posted something on Facebook that if I read this to you, I think TikTok will ban me because it's so bad what he said. Which also gives you a sense of TikTok. I love you, but we need to figure out that moderation thing a little better, because I'm afraid of reading a quote from Donald Trump that he said today, because you'll ban me if I read the quote. That's not a good thing. I'm not going to try. You try it. I can't, seriously. Basically, Trump told the Palestinians, I'm just going to put this quote up here and say, read the last 3 lines. I'll show you guys. Read these last 3 lines. He's telling the Palestinians to release all the hostages or else. Okay? Read these last 3 lines here. I just can't read them. If I read them, TikTok's going to get upset. Now, you guys here, the bottom 3 lines, the last 3 or 4 sentences, where he's telling them, if you don't release the hostages, I'm going to do something to you. All right? Everyone can see those lines? Okay. That's pretty bad. I'm not going to read it, Jacob, because TikTok will ban my account. I'm not reading it. I've learned over the years. That's really bad. Trump, the quote, I'm not going to read it, but the quote tells the Palestinians they're all dead if they don't release the hostages, is what Trump said. That's not a good thing to say. It's not a good thing to say. I just, again, people voted for him allegedly because they wanted to end all wars, and he's threatening war with everybody. And it just seems a little bit inappropriate, but what do I know? Little more here. Big surprise. So Trump imposes these tariffs yesterday on Canada, Mexico, and China. He imposed another 10% on China, 25% on most things from Canada and Mexico, maybe 10% on fuel. Well, he already caved in part, as last time Trump caved too. This time he caved, and he withdrew the tariffs on autos because the American auto industry freaked out. He withdrew it for a month. This is, by the way, very interesting, because we are seeing Trump in a way that is very weak, that I'm not used to seeing Trump. And I don't particularly like the man, but I don't think of him as weak, right? And he He did this last time. He said, we're going to have the tariffs with China, not China, but with Mexico and Canada starting at noon or midnight tonight or whatever it was. And he then withdrew them, right? Now he put them back in. And then the auto people got upset and then he took them out. But he withdrew. So he withdrew the auto tariffs for a month. They're coming back in another month. And it's like, dude, like, which way are you going? You know? I mean, I don't understand this. I don't understand I mean, I think it's dangerous for the economy, not just because it's going to cause inflation, but the kind of uncertainty, right? Oh, we're going to have auto tariffs. No, we're not for a month, but we will next month. I mean, you know, the car companies, the experts have already come out and said, Trump's tariffs, thank you, Slip, for the gift there. Trump's tariffs are going to add several $1,000s to the price of an American car. Several $1,000s to the price of an American car. They're going to add 20 to 40 cents to American gasoline, especially for the states in the Midwest, Northeast, Northwest. 20 to 40 cents is the estimate. Avocados, price of avocados are going to go through the roof. Price of strawberries as well from Mexico. A lot of other produce from Mexico going through the roof. Lumber, price of lumber going through the roof. That comes from Canada. That affects building a new home. It affects building apartment buildings, renting apartment buildings. If you're a renter, it's going to affect the cost. It's going to increase the price of technology coming from China. Phones and things like my Apple iPhone, right? It's made in China, or it's put together in China, right? Speaking of which, thank you, Apple user, for the cap there. So it's bad. But in any case, he at least, now the other funny thing actually is the Canadians I found very interesting. The Canadians turned around and basically slapped Trump pretty hard on this. One of the local regional premiers, I guess, the local governors, I guess you might call them, of is Doug Ford, which is it Doug Ford, I guess, basically kind of said, come at me. What was he going to do? He's going to block. What's he going to do? What does he have again? What was the big threat from Doug Ford? Sorry, but remind me, guys, Ontario. What was the big threat from Doug Ford that he was going to cut off, that he threatened? I remember it was pretty damn good. The electricity, that was it. Power. Thank you. I remembered it was something like really, really big. So apparently they provide power to some American states, which I did not know. And he said, we're just going to shut off the power. He goes, make my day, go for it. And the Treasury Secretary, I guess, called and threatened him. And he basically said, yeah, or one of his aides said, yeah, that wasn't a very smart phone call, because he said now he's going to double down twice as hard because he's pissed off because of the phone call. So Michigan. Okay, Michigan and Minnesota. Interesting. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be very interesting. But what else we got? Supreme Court today. A number of cases happened today, actually. Supreme Court rejected Trump's bid to freeze foreign aid. So that's up in the air again. They also reinstated a number of employees Trump fired at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This stuff is all temporary, but it's interesting. We found out this afternoon Trump is planning on slashing 80,000 jobs from the Veterans Administration. This is the administration that the ministry that deals with our veterans from war. And he's going to axe 80,000 of their employees. I mean, unbelievable, right? Absolutely unbelievable. Celtic, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're bordering on obnoxious here. Like, gotta tell you, on YouTube, you're this close. I don't know who you are. You're this close to leaving. So mods, don't kick her out yet, but she's this close to leaving. What were we saying with the Supreme Court? That's what people like that piss me off. Honestly, I'm just going to get rid of you myself. You piss me off because you do crap like that, and then I lose where I am, and it's just rude. And I really don't like people doing that kind of crap. If you know somebody, feel free to ask them to come back later, but you're annoying me. Sorry, someone was being really rude on YouTube, and I hate when people do that because it's like, we're all here trying to get stuff done, and it's just a rude way to treat people. So I do not like that. Let's show a little respect. Yeah, what else were we saying? So Trump is firing 80,000 employees of the Veterans Administration. These are people who try to, help American military veterans. The really bad part, okay, it's bad enough that Trump is now firing employees who help our veterans. 25% of the workforce of the VA, the Veterans Administration, are veterans. 25% are veterans. He's firing our military veterans. It's crazy. Internal Revenue Service, we found out. Trump is looking to fire half of the Internal Revenue Service. This is the stuff that I just can't. Anybody who's not American, the Internal Revenue Service is our tax agency. Okay. It's the agency that processes our taxes and everything else. And as you know, American taxes are very complicated. It sucks. It's just very complicated, but we tend to pay them. Compared to a lot of countries, Americans pay their taxes, but not everybody. And it's a lot of the rich people who get away with not paying their taxes. Donald Trump, thank you. Well, report came out today. Trump is planning to fire half of the Internal Revenue Service, 50%. Now, he's doing this. This is like some kind of dream of the Republicans, and I've never really understood it. Maybe it's because, I don't know, they're doing it for rich people. I don't really understand it as to, like, to me, I don't want them coming after me, but like, I think people should pay their taxes, right? And frankly, if we've got people there, that's good. Like, they can help me with, like, I've actually had to call twice to the Internal Revenue Service when I had questions about my taxes. They were very, very, oh, that was cute. That was cute on TikTok, on YouTube. They were very, very helpful. Not anymore. I tried calling last year. Impossible. You can't get through. And that's before Trump fired half their staff. Here's the other problem. Trump claims he's doing all of this, firing all these people in our government to save money because our deficit's too large. Our debt is too large. Put aside for a moment the fact that federal employees are like this out of the budget. Federal employees cost something like $200 billion. It's not a small amount, but our deficit is $2 trillion a year. Okay. Our deficit is $2 trillion. 200 billion ain't nothing compared to, it's 10% of the deficit. That does absolutely nothing. Okay. If you fire every federal employee, you get $200 billion. That doesn't help you. But if your concern is you're firing federal employees because you're trying to save money, why would you fire the federal employees whose job it is to raise the money, right? Why would you fire the federal employees whose job it is to collect the taxes because when we don't have enough money and supposedly you're trying to get more money? I cannot find a non-corrupt reason for why they're firing the tax people. It just sounds like they're firing the tax people because their rich friends don't want taxes. And they did this before, by the way. Republicans did this like during the end of the Biden administration. They killed, or I think it was the end of the Biden administration. It wasn't now. They killed money the Democrats had put forward to actually hire more agents at the IRS because we don't have enough agents there. So the Democrats, thank you, Mrs. Toad, had reached a deal with Republicans to put, I forget how much money, but money in to hire more IRS agents. And the Republicans last year got rid of that money because, again, I think, honestly, this is again where we get the issue of, I think Democrats are not very good politically. How hard is it to tell people you pay your taxes? Who are the Republicans working for that they want to fire the people who collect taxes? Who are they trying to help? They're trying to help somebody who doesn't want to pay their taxes. Are they helping you? No. Are they trying to help the rich guys? Maybe, right? It's very weird. In any case, so that's going on too. Oh, and then we found out, this is wild too. Elon Musk, like a week or two ago, cancels a contract that Verizon, which is one of our big phone companies, has with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA is the agency that oversees air travel in America, commercial air travel. Thank you, Marsha, for the gift. And Elon sees that our commercial airline agency, the FAA, has a contract with Verizon Telephone to do all sorts of satellite stuff and communications, whatever. Elon cancels the contract, which, again, questionable whether he can do that legally, cancels the contract. And who do you think gets the contract instead? Elon Musk. Elon Musk just got the new contract with the FAA after Elon Musk decided the old contract was corrupt, right? Think about this. I just like, this is our government, guys. It's absolutely, there was no bid. Of course, there was no bid. They can't bid in 2 weeks. No, there was no bid. Elon decided that the person who had the contract should lose the contract and that he should be the one to get the contract instead because he's so good. It's mind-boggling as they go like flames, that whole meme. Like it's just absolutely mind-boggling. But good news. Tesla's in real trouble. Not only is Tesla stock down now 30% in the last month, but we found out today that in addition to Tesla sales being down 50% in Europe, thank you Adventures, thank you Bowie for the gifts. In addition to Tesla sales being down 50% in Europe, they are down 49% in China. Now, interesting there because obviously China is a huge market, 3 billion people, 1.5 billion, whatever it is, 1.4 billion. The electric vehicle sales are up 82% in China. Tesla's down 49%. Now, in China, the issue is going to be competition and all of that. I don't think the Chinese are upset that Elon Musk is destroying the American government. The Chinese are very happy about that. In Europe, I will bet you the problem in Europe is the fact that Elon has destroyed Tesla's image. Thank you to KT. I went on a test ride on a Tesla 10 years ago. I loved it. It was so much fun and always would have liked to have gotten one. They're too expensive. And I always thought Elon Musk was kind of interesting. Then I watched Elon Musk the last 2 years once he bought Twitter and didn't like him. And now what he's doing to my government and supporting these neo-fascist parties in Germany and these far-right extremists in the UK, I wouldn't be caught dead driving a Tesla ever again. And I think a lot of people are doing that. But to have sales down 50% in Europe is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, he's paying the price, and honestly, people need to keep paying the price. I can't tell you guys what people are calling the Teslas. There's a really good name for them that somebody else could use, but I'm not allowed to. But it's a reference to World War II Germany, and I can't tell you. I can't tell you, but they've renamed the car something else. It's very funny. All right, so let's move on and talk specifically about Ukraine. I'm gonna sit back a little bit, although my back is feeling pretty good, though. I will say, I think the vacation was pretty good with helping my back, which was nice because I've been having some. Oops, hang on, guys. Let me get my TikTok set up here. I've been having issues with my pinched nerve in my back, but it's been much better, so that's good. But if I sit back, it feels better, so I'm going to sit back. Also, sometimes sitting back, sometimes it's a little slumpy, but I think it can look okay. All right, a little slumpy, but it's all right. So it is day 1,104 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Donald Trump, in addition to 2 days ago cutting off all American aid to Ukraine, today Donald Trump cut off all American intelligence to Ukraine, which pretty much means that when the Russians launch bombs at Ukraine and missiles, and we know the missile is heading for a school or a hospital or a church, we can no longer tell the Ukrainians that missile is coming at their hospital or school or church because Donald Trump cut it off. The Trump White House now changed their mind. Remember how initially they were saying, oh, Zelensky needs to apologize or we're not going to give him aid or whatever. Now the apology is because Zelensky kind of apologized today. Now that's not enough. Now they want Zelensky to come to the table, and until negotiations are happening, we're not going to give him any aid. I've always told you guys, one of the things that I find interesting is when people change the reason they're giving you for what they're doing, they're usually lying. Right? When somebody tells you the reason I'm doing something is blah, 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 and then you address blah, 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 and they go, oh, well, the real reason was blah, 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 because you fixed the first reason they gave you, right? They're lying. This feels like a lie, right? I mean, Trump claimed he wanted Zelensky to apologize. Zelensky kind of apologized, and now it's, well, no, we're not going to give you aid until there's negotiations, and we're not going to give you intelligence now either. It kind of sounds like Vladimir Putin didn't want aid to go to Ukraine, and somebody is doing Vladimir Putin a favor. Thank you, Mrs. Toad. Thank you, Rosemary. It's very bad. This is a very bad thing. But in any case, so yes, he cut off U.S. intelligence sharing today. The French and the Brits. This was kind of interesting. So there's an interesting story from Reuters today. Listen to this. France and Britain are aiming to finalize with Ukraine, possibly in days. Thank you. Who was that? JPT. Thank you for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Oh, and do follow me on TikTok. I always forget to ask you guys that on TikTok, YouTube, and Discord as well. But I think most of you look more like your regulars. But on TikTok, please do follow me if you would. I appreciate it. Keep the gifts coming too. Reuters. France and Britain are aiming to finalize with Ukraine, possibly in days, a peace plan to present to the United States while building bridges between the U.S. and Ukraine before possible talks in Washington. The details of the plan have not been divulged, and one European diplomat said military chiefs were aiming to finalize the military aspects over the next week. One option is a partial. Well, oh, thank you for the Nemo there. Appreciate that. Who was that? Oh, Cindy, thank you. One option is a partial 1-month truce that would cover attacks by air and sea and also those targeting energy infrastructure, but not ground fighting, and would be supported by France, Britain, and a coalition of willing countries. What is interesting about this is, the Europeans, I mean, Trump doesn't like you guys. I've told you this. And I think, the Europeans need to, I think, honestly, I get the need to play nice with Trump to a degree, but I also feel like the Europeans need to play not nice with Trump and us. He doesn't consider you a friend anymore, then don't treat him as a friend, right? I mean, it's just that's the way you do it, right? The mods, just get rid of whoever that person is, Ashley. I mean, just get rid of them. So make it easy. Somebody's arguing about trans people while we're talking about bombing Ukraine. There can be no good coming from that person. I guarantee you, there is no good coming from that person. So I feel like the Europeans need to kind of stand up to they need to stand up to Trump. And one thing that's very interesting is the Europeans, well, a couple things. One, the Europeans can continue to supply Ukraine. I mean, currently they're giving more aid than the Americans. We don't have enough to give them, but they're still giving stuff, right? If the Europeans and the Ukrainians don't agree to peace will not happen. If the Europeans don't agree and the Ukrainians don't agree, the sanctions aren't going to be lifted. I mean, America can lift its sanctions, and Trump will anyway. You know that, right? Trump's gonna lift his sanctions against the Russians, but the Europeans don't have to. And the Europeans have most of the money that's frozen. The Europeans have got it, not the Americans, from what I recall. So I think, and when it comes to Trump wants Ukraine out of the way, but Trump also wants Ukraine out of the way because Putin wants Ukraine out of the way, right? He's doing this for Putin. If Europe says, I mean, honestly, if I were a European leader, I would say, you know what, Donald? You just attacked British troops. J.D. Vance suggested that the Brits were some random country with a backwards military that hasn't fought in 40 years. Basically said that about you guys. He didn't say backwards, but that was the implication. You were some random country with a military that hasn't even fought in 40 years. They don't know what they're doing, right? And the Brits were not happy about this. Britain should turn around and say, you know what, JD? Since you don't respect our country and Trump is making fun of us and Elon Musk is interfering in our politics, we're gonna keep the sanctions going. We're not going to actually not JD. I would say Vlad, Mr. Putin. Thank you, Jorge, for the gift. Don't even talk to Trump and Vance. Talk to Putin and say, "Hi, Vladimir Putin. We know you're the one calling the shots. Trump made a mistake and JD Vance made a mistake. He attacked Britain. He attacked British troops. He attacked our allies. Right? Elon Musk got involved in our politics and tried to help the far right win in our countries. We're not going to release the sanctions now. We're going to keep the sanctions going. We're going to keep the majority of the $300 billion that Europe controls, and we're not going to let it go because your boy Donald Trump screwed up. Your boy Donald Trump insulted us and thought he was going to get it his way without asking our help and not asking our advice and not asking us to the table. So bye-bye. And I would even do it that way because I would put the pressure on Trump via his boss, right? Vladimir Putin. You put the pressure via Putin and you just say, you know what? feel free to reach whatever deal you want with Donald Trump. We're going to keep giving Ukraine weapons, and we're never going to let the sanctions go on you people. You know, I mean, but again, if Europe doesn't start playing hardball with Trump, you know, he's going to keep doing, again, he's going to steal Greenland is what he's going to do. He's going to invade and take Greenland. I mean, that's the fear, like from what he said last night, if you don't stand up to him more, you know? All right, a little bit more here. Oh, this was from Reuters 2 days ago. I missed this story because I was flying that day, but the United States is drawing up a plan to potentially give Russian sanctions relief as President Trump seeks to restore ties with Moscow. The White House has asked the state and Treasury departments to draft a list of sanctions that could be eased for U.S. officials to discuss with Russian representatives in the coming days. Yeah. So again, Trump is, guys, I've always said this about Trump. This is the thing that got the BBC people pissed at me back 8 years ago when I said, take him at his word. He's going to be terrible and he's going to be worse than you can imagine. Just take him at his word. Assume Donald Trump is going to do everything bad that you can ever imagine to your country and to our relationship with you, and act accordingly. Don't trust any agreements. You know, you should not trust that Trump's going to, you're not dealing with friends anymore. You should act the way you would dealing with countries that are not your friends, basically. And to some degree, might even be your enemy, to be honest. I mean, this is not good what's going on. What else we got here? Macron. So this was interesting, actually. President Macron of France gave a speech today to the nation. I watched a couple of minutes of it. His French is very good. Meaning if you're a foreigner and you speak French, you can understand Macron. He speaks very, very well. He's like Mitterrand that way. He's like very clear. And Macron gave a speech that was very anti-Russian. It was really good. It was warning about the Russian. He kept talking about the Russian threat. The menace, the Russian threat. It was very good. I'm intrigued. I'm not quite sure what he's up to. I don't know. I'm just not quite sure what he's up to, but it's very good. And it's interesting because France is a big country. Now, the French, according to an article today, are talking about, actually, I think Macron even said this, they're talking about extending their nuclear shield. France has nuclear weapons, extending their nuclear shield to cover the rest of Europe, which is interesting. Somebody died in a tunnel under the Capitol. I don't know who that is. Is that somebody we're supposed to know who that is? I mean, thank you, Annette, by the way, for that. But is that somebody we're supposed to know who that is? I don't know who that is. You don't have to buy a gift to tell me who that is, but if you got a little more info on that. Weird, though. Somebody died in the U.S. Capitol building? That's a little weird. It's a member of Congress, you mean? Oh, Sylvester Johnson? I don't even know who that is. He was a Democratic congressman. Oh, I've never heard of him. Wow. He died in the U.S. Capitol. Oh, that's awful. Okay. Sorry. But we were talking about the French. So, Macron gave a really good speech. It was a really impassioned, very anti-Russian, warning about the Russian threat. Actually, I've got some of the quotes here. We are entering a new era. If a country can invade its neighbor in Europe and go unpunished, nobody can be sure of anything. Beyond Ukraine, this is President Macron of France. Last time I quoted President Macron of France, TikTok banned me for a week when I was quoting Le Monde. Hopefully they can handle me quoting a presidential speech. Beyond Ukraine, the Russian threat is real. It affects the European countries, Macron said. He also said that Russia is looking to rearm itself and is ramping up its defense spending. Quote, this is President Macron talking. President Putin is violating our borders to assassinate opponents, manipulate elections. He mentioned Romania and Moldova as far as the elections the Russians were cheating in. He also mentions how Russia has broken previous promises and guarantees. Anyway, I thought it was a very good speech. The Czech Republic has promised to increase defense spending from 2% of its GDP to 3% by 2030. That's good. There was a Reuters poll today. This was interesting. Reuters did not a Reuters poll, an Ipsos poll. Ipsos is a big polling outfit in the U.S. They're very credible. And there was a poll about Ukraine, And basically, who's to blame for the war? And what's very interesting about this poll is, you know, Jeffrey Sachs on YouTube. Why would anybody want to watch Jeffrey Sachs on YouTube, Andre? He's horrible. I mean, he's absolutely horrible. You should not be watching Jeffrey Sachs. Oh my God. You might as well watch Vladimir Putin. Oh my God. There's a new poll about Ukraine. And listen to this. And it's about whether Ukraine is to blame for the war starting. Now, MAGA leaders like Trump always blame Ukraine for starting the war because that's what Putin blames. And they get their messaging from Putin. Well, and I think like a lot of us, we hear Trump and JD Vance and Elon Musk always repeating the Putin talking points about the war. And we just assume that all the Republicans believe them and agree. They don't. Listen, this poll is fascinating to me. Listen to this. What do Americans think of Trump's Ukraine rhetoric? Ukraine is more to blame for starting the war, which Trump thinks. Trump thinks Ukraine's to blame for starting the war. Do Americans agree or disagree that Ukraine is to blame for starting the war? Of American adults, 7% agree that Ukraine is to blame for starting the war. 7%. 70% disagree that Ukraine is to blame for starting the war. 70% disagree, so only 7% agree. That's wild. Republicans, this gets interesting too. Now, Democrats, big surprise. 81% of Democrats disagree. Only 3% of Democrats agree that Ukraine's to blame for the war. Republicans, you might think, yeah, but Republicans are going to be really bad. Listen to this. Republicans, 62% of Republicans disagree with the statement that Ukraine is to blame for starting the war. So 62% of the Republicans actually disagree when somebody says it's Ukraine's fault. That's interesting. The percent of Republicans who agree that it's Ukraine's fault that the war started, 11% only. Think about that. Only 11% of Republicans blame Ukraine for the war starting. That's very, 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 very interesting. That's something I wouldn't have expected. And it's interesting. It's interesting for I think people like Trump who are anti-Ukraine and pro-Russia, because I'm just very surprised. I would have thought the Trump supporters would have all been crazy anti-Ukraine people. And the activists are, the people we see on Twitter are the people we see on TikTok, but the main Republican voters are not. When asked if the U.S. should get a share of Ukraine's minerals, 50% of U.S. adults say yes. 46% say no, pretty evenly divided. Most Republicans say yes. Most Democrats say no. So that one isn't as surprising. But the poll overall was very surprising to me. So anyway, all right, now we're at the hangout period of the show. So let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. So hello, all. Keep the gifts coming. Do follow me on TikTok. Anybody who's there now. I do this show every Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. My background is U.S. politics. I've been working in it for 40 years here in Washington, mostly in Washington, D.C. 2 years I was in New York, 1 year at the United Nations, which is a horrible place to work. Just let's throw that out there. Nonetheless, it sounds cool to say I worked at the United Nations, but it was a horrible place. Thank you, JPT. Thank you, Amber. But do follow me, TikTokers, if you would. Oh, and I've always got to remember that little thing at the top of the screen, that little heart thing. TikTok likes it when you buy those things. It only costs 1 coin for TikTok, but they like it when you buy those things. So please get some of those if you would. So thank you. What do I think will happen with the economy? Honestly, Daniela asks. I am very worried that Trump is going to put us into a recession. But it's going to be, what do they say, stagflation, where inflation is going to go up and the economy itself is going to go down. We know the tariffs are a serious threat to inflation. I was reading Market Watch today, which is a pretty credible economic publication. And Market Watch just said outright in the article today that most economists agree that inflation is going to become a real problem. And we're going to have bad inflation because of, not just inflation. Most economists agree that Trump's tariffs are going to push us into a recession, is what Market Watch said today. That blew my mind when I read that quote. I was like, holy cow. I think we're in serious danger of a recession. I think we're probably going to have one. We are in serious danger of some real inflation. Trump's tariffs cause inflation. Cutting federal spending to the degree they're cutting it takes massive amounts of money out of the economy. When you cut government spending as much as Republicans are cutting it, that depresses economies. It risks pushing you into a recession. Because think about it. I was telling you guys this before. My realtor lost a $1.2 million contract to sell a house. He had a house ready to go and lost the contract. They were ready to sell. The people were going to buy it because the people were federal contractors, and federal contractors. I mean, I've worked for the federal government before not as a contractor, but so to speak, right? As a guy on the outside, and they pay you to do the job. And part of the pay they pay you is your salary, because this is your job, right? Like when I got hired to do work for the government as an outsider, they hired me to do the work and they also paid me a salary, because how else was I going to survive, right? Well, these people had planned for the next 6 months or the next year or whatever to do a big project. Their salary was the project. And Trump killed it. And because he killed the project, they had to kill the new house they were going to buy because they lost their income. And my realtor friend lost $24,000, the commission on the deal. Well, that's only one guy who lost $24,000, but he's not the only one. The couple lost their income. They couldn't spend the money on the house. The realtor lost his income. The fact that my realtor lost $24,000 means he's cutting back now. So he's not going to, is he going to stop doing maybe a vacation he was going to do? And when he went on that vacation, maybe he was going to spend $2,000. The airlines are now not getting that money. The place he was visiting, the hotels aren't getting his money. The restaurants aren't getting his money. And when the hotels and the restaurants aren't getting the money, all of a sudden they have to cut back staff, right? It's economy, money ripples through. I believe, from what I remember from economics, it's called like I forget if it's M1 or M2. Any of you economists, I always want to say M2, but I always forget. But it's like the velocity of money. It's the nature that money can $1, I spend $1 at the store owner takes that dollar and pays his employee. The employee takes that dollar and pays his electric bill. The electric bill takes that dollar and pays its employees, right? And those employees take that money and they go to the grocery store. And that $1 is doing lots of work over and over and over again. And it's called velocity in economics, because it's like doom, 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 doom when it ricochets around, right? In any case, very weird. Is it M2? I thought it was M2, Vincent or Vincente. I don't know why. For some reason, M2 stuck in my head. Yeah. But I always liked the concept. It was such a neat idea of the idea of, or as JK said, the domino effect of money bouncing around like that, right? Anyway. We've talked before, Eleanor, about the U.S. reneging on the Budapest Memorandum. We actually talked about it the other day. I think last night we talked about it, which is basically a deal the U.S. set up with Ukraine where we convinced Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons in exchange for a promise that Russia would never invade. And if Russia did, we and the Brits would come to Ukraine's aid. And I can't speak for the Brits, but when Russia invaded in 2014, we did not come to Ukraine's aid. So, and even this time around, we did a shitty job of it, frankly. So, anyway. What else? I read your note, Chris S. I'm not going to repeat it, but I did read it on YouTube. I think I've got a few months to go at least. Thanks, Jeff Smith. What else we got, guys? What else we got? Oops, I'm looking here at people's comments. The new FBI director is going to work from his home in Las Vegas. You're kidding. He did not say that. Kash Patel said he's going to work from his home in Las Vegas. I mean, to a degree, I almost hope he does, because it'll make him less effective. But geez, wow. Yep, I did say that earlier, Keegan. The U.S. is no longer providing economic reports. Biden, well, Maureen asked a good question. Why didn't Biden do more when Ukraine got invaded by Russia in 2014? Part of the problem is, at the time, Ukraine wasn't ready to fight Russia. The Ukrainian military was not the same military it is today. Since the time of the invasion, NATO got involved and did a hell of a lot of training of Ukraine, a lot of weapons too, but a lot of training. And the Ukrainians were a much better fighting force in 2022 than they were in 2014. And I think even we had Yulia on the show, a Ukrainian who's a political commentator who's very good. And I want to say even Yulia, not even, but Yulia herself kind of said, it's there was a lot less the Ukrainians could do at that time. They weren't in a position to really fight back. Having said that, the U.S. and NATO could have put sanctions on Russia at the time, and we didn't. We put sanctions, but we didn't put sanctions like we did this time. We could have done, the huge sanctions, right? But we didn't until this time. So there was a lot we could have done that we didn't do. So Mug says, how long do you think, John, it will take Trump to really push for Greenland? Because we're dealing with Donald Trump, don't assume that anything is crazy. This is the man who proposed dropping a nuclear bomb into a hurricane to make a hurricane go away. Anything is possible with this guy. So I would, if Trump says he's going to declare war on Denmark to get Greenland, you should believe him. I would not go thinking he is not Mr. Hyperbole. And the Europeans need to be prepared for that. They need to be prepared for it. And if that means, honestly, if I were the Europeans, I'd put some of my own troops there. I'd get the Danes and everybody else. I'd get a NATO force together and in Greenland, and I'd put them there and say, well, you can invade and try, but you're gonna have to kill a bunch of NATO allies to do it. Thanks, Rapace, for subscribing. But it's no, I could see him doing it. It's a kind of crazy thing. The value of Greenland, Greenland is, geographically, potentially it's valuable between the US and Europe. My suspicion is Greenland is also important because of the Arctic. Is that help me out here, guys? But I'm assuming Greenland is important because of the Arctic, and the Russians are causing all sorts of hell with the Arctic, right? So that I am suspicious is what's going on with that. That's my guess. But there may be minerals too. I don't know if there's minerals as well. Are there minerals too? Sam is saying there's minerals. But right, Russia building the bases up there is a huge deal. Greenland has minerals that Elon wants. Well, that's a question too. It depends who briefed. Somebody briefed Trump on this and got him going crazy on it, right? Somebody did. We don't know who. But good. The French are moving troops and nukes to Greenland. Well, you're not going to put nukes. I doubt the Danes are letting you put nukes there. Are they? Are they? That'd be pretty funny if they were. Well, that's true, right? As the ice melts and new trade routes, because now there's new trade routes, like the Northwest Passage or whatever it is. I'm forgetting what it's called. Is that what it is? But the path through the Arctic that's opened up now because of everything melting. Yeah, this gold card thing is weird. Telepo Time is talking about Trump has proposed this new gold card for immigration he wants to have. And basically it says that any rich person can pay $5 million and get U.S. citizenship. And I'm not sure I get what the concept is here. Trump said, if we get 1 million of them, that's $5 trillion and we paid off our debt or something. And it was like, okay, whatever. That's a little weird, but whatever. I don't think we're going to get we're going to get a bunch of rich Russians and rich Saudis or something, it's weird. I don't quite get it. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's cute. Theo says, can I sell mine for 2 million? Seriously. Oh man. Crazy. I wouldn't be surprised. He probably is. Trump is charging money for meetings at Mar-a-Lago, probably. But we'd have to see the proof of that first. But I wouldn't be surprised. But I'd like to see the proof first. Italy was fabulous. Norway. Italy's always fabulous. Too many tourists, but I do love Italy and I love the Italians. Great food. Brought back some more pocket coffees that are these wonderful chocolates that have espresso, like liquid espresso inside. as only the Italians could come up with. And I introduced my nephew to them. He was like, ooh, yeah. So very nice. Thank you, Imperfectioner, for subscribing on YouTube. Appreciate that. I have no idea, low stakes, if the U.S. defense industry has a kill switch for exported equipment. I have no idea. No idea. Anything new with the U.S. and Canada? I don't think so, Smug Chipmunk. Not really. I don't think there's any Canadian news today. The tariffs. The only new thing is Trump is now delaying the auto tariffs for a month because he kind of freaked out because the U.S. auto industry went, you're going to increase the price of our cars several $1,000s. So Trump freaked out. Thank you, Danny. So I have an excuse for yawning now. I'm 2 days back from Italy, so I'm still doing a little bit of Italian time, 6 hours ahead. But then again, those of you who are in Europe, maybe I don't have as much of an excuse. It's late for you anyway. But yeah, Macron and Starmer are standing up. It looks that way. Hopefully. Canada pulled Jack Daniels off the shelves. I thought you already did that. Didn't you pull the drinks a couple weeks ago? Going back on the tariffs does make us look weak. Yes. And he's done this multiple times now. Remember, he threatened tariffs with Colombia, then backed off. He threatened tariffs with Canada and Mexico, then backed off. He claimed the Canadians made a new promise, but it was actually something Trudeau had promised days before. The Mexicans promised to put troops on the border, but it was actually fewer troops than they put when Joe Biden was president. And now he threatens sanctions on Canada and has already repealed some of the sanctions. So it's like, but maybe they'll come back next month. The problem Trump has is he doesn't believe in anything. And when you've got somebody who doesn't believe in anything, it's difficult for them to be consistent because there's nothing inside of them. There's no constitution to keep them consistent. There's no ideology. There's no intellectual beliefs, right? So he doesn't have any beliefs, I think, at all on anything, so that he's just kind of going. So it's like tariff. Oh my God, no tariff. Oh my God, tariff. And blah, blah, blah. So what do you do? What do you do? Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm going to yawn at you. I'm sorry, guys. What else we got? Keeps everyone. No, well, that is true to a degree. Trump likes to keep people in panic mode, keep people on edge, and it has worked quite effectively for him. That keeping everything going so crazy has made it difficult for the media to cover what he's doing, and it's made it difficult for us to keep track of what he's doing because he's attacking 10 agencies at once and doing 10 horrible things to our government at once. So it's like, right? He's very good at harnessing the chaos to confuse people, I think. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, what else, guys? I am suddenly, you know what? I got up early. I woke up at like 7, which for me is a little early. I couldn't sleep because of the jet lag. And I was trying to think, but that's why I'm tired right now. It's kind of just hit me like, ooh. What else? Every day is a shocking new thing. I don't know. What else, guys? Anything else or what? We don't have to go long tonight. Yesterday was like a 2-hour show that was unintentionally long. But Belgium survived for 3 years with no political government. I forgot about that. That's right. You guys did have that, or they had that. Thank you, Norwegian, for the gift. And Cobra. Yeah, his crypto plan is weird too. I don't know what he's doing. Trump is setting up like a strategic cryptocurrency reserve. And I've not quite understood what the purpose of it is. Of course, the big concern is, did Trump or any of his people go and buy cryptocurrency before they said they were invested in the reserve? Because that would cause the price to go up. And knowing Trump and company, no more news about TikTok. There's no news on that. Actually, Alex Ohanian, who is one of the founders or the founder of Reddit, big, investor guy, he announced today that he is joining, I'm forgetting the guy's name, but the billionaire or whatever who put a bid in on TikTok, he's joining his bid. Josh, my language is still very pro-Israeli. I don't like doing bad things, but at the same time, I still am pro-Israel. So what else we got? Doesn't mean I agree with everything they do, especially their president, who I can't stand. Kevin O'Leary. It wasn't Kevin O'Leary. It was another guy. It was a guy whose name I wasn't familiar with, but he was like some the billionaire guy. Actually, Kevin O'Leary wasn't the guy doing the bid. Kevin O'Leary was working with or working for the guy doing the bid. It's the guy doing the bid that O'Leary was attached to. That's the guy who Ohanian is now not Mr. Beast. He's his own problem. Like, you know. Oh, and Vancouver pulls all U.S. liquor today. Good. They should. You should pull all U.S. products. I think Canadians should just boycott us. Let them see what it feels like. And frankly, stop sending. Yeah, Alexis Ohanian. Right? They should stop. Canadians should stop sending us potash as well. Make American farmers say, you know what? You don't respect us? Okay, we'll send it to somebody else. You know, let's see how they feel about that. I talked about the federal lawsuits earlier. There was some good news on the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They ordered the employees back. The courts did today. Thank you, Connie. The courts put a freeze on Trump's foreign aid freeze, whatever. They kind of turned it back on, or at least, well, temporarily. They sent the case back to the lower courts. So it's, you know, it's still working its way through the courts, but so far some good. Like it was a Supreme Court case on the foreign aid, which was good. Supreme Court did not side with. This was very funny today. So the Supreme Court sides against Trump today on some of the foreign aid stuff. And what do Trump supporters start doing? They start because the three Democratic justices, and Justice, the Chief Justice, John, I know all of this. I'm just sorry, guys. I'm still jet lagging. I've suddenly like gone off the cliff now where I'm jet lagging and I'm tired. John, of course, I'm forgetting his last name, and I can't believe this. Our Chief Roberts. Thank you, Pippa. John Roberts, our Chief Justice, and Amy Coney Barrett, or whatever the hell, however the hell you Coney Barrett, or whatever you pronounce her name, who is a Trump appointee, both sided with the Democrats. So Republicans today, and this was hilarious. Republicans today MAGA people were accusing Amy Coney Barrett or whatever of being a DEI hire, that she wasn't qualified because she's a woman, and Trump picked her because she's a woman, and she's DEI, and that's why she ruled against them. So this is what these people are and what they think, you know. It was, we were reading it going, you've got to be kidding me. Amy, also that woman, you know, she seems to be a rather intelligent woman. She's the last thing from a DEI hire. I mean, I don't like her, but damn, she's smart. She's clearly very smart. I mean, I watched the hearing. She's a very smart woman. It was just obnoxious as hell. But this is what, you know, this is what they do. Anyway. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm still a little bit on Italian time today and woke up very early. So, anyway, what else? Like I said, maybe we won't go too light tonight because I'm just kind of like, I fell off a cliff around 7 o'clock and I'm kind of like, jet lag brain. Yes, I don't know why I was so good yesterday. Because I got a good night's sleep the night before. Last night was not as much. I need to actually, I stayed up late, which is good, but I'm tired. No update on Syria. No, there's no news about Syria. Thank you. Is that Janice with the panda? Thank you, Janice. I'm going to be yawning more. So sorry, guys. What you doing? Somewhere. My little girl's coughing somewhere. Oh, there you are. Hello. Were you in the little bed over there? Okay. I did already make some bread last night. I may make some more Greek bread. Tomorrow I've got to go to the grocery store and buy eggs, by the way. So once I do that, I'll go and I may make some more Greek bread. Actually, I did try to make, what do you call them? Bagels before I left for Italy. It was okay. They weren't perfect, but they were okay. I do have a special case for my fancy new glasses. It's a little big, though. It's kind of like absurdly large. So Sasha's doing well. Trying to loan for, I know. Well, my eggs here were only $4 when I left, which I'm very surprised. So see you, Downey chick. Go enjoy your dinner. So hopefully, I mean, ours were better than most of the countries here in DC. $4 for 12 eggs was damn good. $1.10 each in New York. Yeah, that's insane. $7 in Chicago. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like ours were very good. I almost think like they're making the prices good in DC so that Congress doesn't get upset or something. $6 for 18. That's pretty good. That's basically what I paid. $4 for 12. Yeah. Yeah. But that was before I left. Let's see. Right. Sasha is kind of doing her. Hello, what are you doing? She's just kind of sitting on the other side of the room or standing on the other side of the room. She's got up from her nap, so she's kind of like me right now. She's like, so Dollar General, $8.15. Yeah, no, they're crazy prices. I mean, crazy prices. I just hope they don't go up here too. I'm eating just regular white eggs, but they're $4 a dozen at Harris Teeter, which is one of our local grocery chains. So, but we'll see if that lasts, man. Well, UK, yeah, I'm not surprised for you guys. This is the US. We're having all the problems with the bird flu. Like we're having the real problems. $3.99, Lanya says. Yep. Harris Teeter went up. No! Well, I'm going to find out when I go because I'm on my last egg. I'm going to have to get them $8. Holy shit. Wow. For Harris Teeter. Oh, God. Let's see. I hope they haven't gone up. Like I said, I'm going to find out tomorrow. Actually, I don't have the app on my computer. Okay, I can check the app. I don't know if the app is, the app's not going to tell me what my store is, I think, right? With the Harris Teeter app, I forget about that. I don't know what that means, Miley, but don't post it 10 times. That's bad. Very bad. Beep, 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 beep. What else, guys? Anything, or should we call it quits? I don't like to sort of drag this out. Exactly. Canada should cut us off for the potash. Again, teach them a lesson. It's funny. My mom told me there was some Greek story when we were a kid. She told us, and I remember I mentioned this to her years ago, and she couldn't remember the story. But as a kid, I remembered because it was some story, and there was like a lesson to this. But some story about this Canada. I was thinking of this, but Europeans too, about fighting back, to Trump being such a jerk. But the story was something to the effect of all the different parts of the body were fighting and saying, I'm the most important. Like the nose said, I'm the most important because I smell the food. And the mouth was like, I'm the most important because I taste the food and I eat it. And, the skin, I'm the most important because I hold the body together, this kind of stuff. And basically, like the moral of the story was in the end, and it was funny. She was like, the PC Noah, which is your behind, your behind was the most important part because it said, I can, and like it proved to everybody else, I can stop everything and then we all die or whatever. And I asked her about this as an adult and she didn't know what I was talking about. Like, Mom, you told us the story as a kid. It was some weird Greek story you heard about the body parts fighting, but it got me thinking of like the Canada thing and all of that and how, like the potash situation, you guys need to like use your advantage you've got. We are big, we are more powerful, but you've got a couple things you can get us on. You heard it. Jens heard it in Sweden too. Yeah, it was like, but I don't remember the rest of the story. I just remember that was the body part that like shut itself off. And then the rest of the body parts went, but I don't quite remember what the moral of the story was or whatever. But in any case, oh, Brooke, it's so sad you have to leave us today. Bye-bye. Non sequiturs are not welcome during my live. Non sequiturs that are basically people being rude is not a good thing. More people have heard versions of it. Okay, that's good. That's good. Is it safe to travel to Europe? Why wouldn't it be? Your question should be, is it safe to travel to America? Europe's fine. You kidding? Europe's free. America's the problem. I'd be afraid to come here if I were you, to be honest. But Europe's okay. I mean, I'd go to Panama, but hey, Jen, I am good. The trip was good. Got back Monday night, 2 nights ago. So can we survive through this? Not clear. I mean, we will physically survive. I don't know if our country is going to survive. It's too bad. If I were European or if I were somebody from abroad, I wouldn't come here either. Don't spend your money here. I wouldn't do it. You should be cutting off our products. You should be cutting off our liquor, everything. Like I said, the potash, the Canadians should just be demanding and say, no, we're not going to sell to Americans. If we think we're so special, then say, okay, bye. Oh man. Hey, young boss in Ghana. I've not been to Ghana. Almost got to Ghana and they wouldn't let me. Years ago, I was working in Cote d'Ivoire and I wanted to go to Ghana, and I called the embassy from Abidjan, right? And the embassy said, the Ghanaian embassy said, "Oh, you have to go back to your country and get a visa there, go back to America, and then come back." And I was like, and I was being very nice. I said, but I'm in Africa now. I'm right next door in Cote d'Ivoire, and I've always heard such wonderful things, which I did about Ghana, and I wanted to go visit. Is there any way? No, you have to go home. So I was like, okay, fine. So I called the embassy of Mali, the other neighbor, and he said, "Well, you're really supposed to go home first, but why don't you come in and talk to me and we'll see." I go in, I meet one of the ministers at the embassy, the Malian embassy in Cote d'Ivoire. Sits me down, gives me coffee, talks to me for an hour. This guy is hilarious, the nicest guy. And in the end, after talking to him for an hour, he goes, "Okay, here's what I will do." And I had a driver because I was there on a government contract, and the driver drives you around partially to help keep you safe. And he said, "Your driver, because he's black, I will charge him $5 or whatever it was for a visa." He goes, "But you, because you're white, $10. And you had to kind of get the conversation with him because this guy was so funny. It sounds like a racist joke. It was funny as hell. And I mean, he was being funny, but it was just, this guy had me in hysterics. The nicest guy. He's like, "We'll give you the visa," but I love that. I mean, honestly, I think he was bored. He just wanted somebody. He literally hid me there for an hour. He brought me tea. We talked about everything. I think he just kind of wanted to talk, see who I was, and it was kind of fun. But it was very funny. Yeah. "But you, because you're white, $10." Or $10. I love the Malians. Oh, such a sad country because they've had so many problems with terrorism and stuff. But oh my God, just wonderful. Just wonderful. And mods on TikTok, this, but just any of the trans bashing Looney Tunes people, just knock them immediately because they're clearly scammers anyway. I mean, not just because it's rude, but they're also scammers. They're just here they're organized, or they're doing that kind of stuff. "Oh, Harlem, you're from Mali. Get out." Oh my God, I loved Mali. I went to Bamako and then to Ségou. Je suis allé aux deux endroits, Bamako et Ségou, et j'aimais trop les plus gentils gens du monde à Mali que j'ai connu. Vraiment. Mali was ridiculously nice people. Just the nicest place I'd ever visited. Just fascinating place. Beautiful. It just makes me you grew up in Ségou? Oh, funny. That's the second largest city that I went to. Just very sad, just very sad. Because like I said, the Al-Qaeda terrorists, Al-Qaeda in Africa have been, and I want to say, I do speak French. Yes. Ah oui. Ah oui. Ah ouais. But just very sad because the terrorists and the terrorist groups coming in and everything, it's just very sad. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Okay, I could have used it before. This is funny. I speak Spanish, French, Italian, and some Greek. My Greek was fluent, not anymore. I just got the update from T-Mobile that I'm in this Starlink beta. Now, I know we don't like Starlink, but I was kind of curious how it worked. I just got back from Europe when the Starlink beta would have been very helpful. Because I was in parts of Ukraine, in Italy, where my connection wasn't working. What do you do? Now I'm in the beta. Now I'm like, okay, thank you. That's good, but not as helpful to have it right now. Anyway. Anyway. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. If you're going to post spam, at least make it make sense. Dear Lord. But yeah, it would have been fun to at least have had it in Europe. You know what I mean? Because my connection did drop occasionally. Not often, but it dropped occasionally. And now one fun thing though, I did notice I was getting like the emergency reception I was getting even inside buildings, which is fascinating. So anyway, French Canada, Quebec here. Allô, salut Johnny. Je vais bien. Et ouais, il y a un TikTok channel que je suis. Do you say je suis? I follow or je follow. Un TikTok channel de Québec, que c'est super. Et c'est quelqu'un qui essaie comment vous parlez là en comparaison au français et tout ça. C'est super. It's very cool. It's a fun little, but it's hard. Some of your guys, actually Audrey, because Audrey, who hasn't been here in a while, but we love Audrey, who's one of our folks here, is a veterinarian, I think, and she has her own TikTok channel. And I listen to Audrey, and I've got to really listen because she talks fast too. But some of it, I mean, I understand French when it's fast, but Canadian French. Oh, was she here yesterday? Get out. Oh, that's good. Oh, good. I'm glad she's still around. But yeah, her Quebec French can be difficult. DMs, Gunther, I never see them. Oh, Instagram, I never see any messages on Instagram. That's probably why. I'll try to look more for them, but I never see. Not I never, but I rarely see messages on Instagram. So, but yeah, Quebecois. I mean, I've never really been. I mean, I literally went like I was visiting Ottawa at one point. Oh, my French is French. It's not Quebecois. I studied in France. Yeah. No, j'ai fait un an d'études à Paris quand j'avais 19 ans. Et après, j'ai travaillé là un été et j'ai rentré assez souvent. Donc, évidemment, je parle français de la France. Well, le vrai français, non, je dirais pas ça, mais quand même. But I speak French well enough. I mean, I speak French that it's when I hear Canadian French, it makes me chuckle because I know I'm fluent in French, but I learned it in France, so it just makes me chuckle when I hear Canadian French. So I'm a little bit of a snob about that. Beaucoup de Montréal. Super. We've got a lot of Montrealais. What do you call yourselves? People from Montreal. In English, it's probably Montrealers. In English, I don't know. What do you say in French, though? Jean de Montréal. I know. Je dois venir à Montréal. Montréalais? Gunther says Montréalais. Okay, as is saying the same. Montréalais. That's hard to say. Montréalais. Okay. That sounds fun, though. That's hard. African French is funny. African French is interesting because what I found more in Cote d'Ivoire and Mali is it's the accent, you know, and but the problem in Mali, I was in Mali for almost 2 weeks, I think, or a week and a half. I started to pick up the accent, which was the funny thing in Mali. So like, you know, quand tu es à Mali, tu commences à parler français comme ça. Ah, ça c'était. Tu commences avec un accent qui hache les mots un peu comme ça. Et il y a un rythme comme ça quand tu parles français. And like I went to Paris the week after and I was trying my hardest not to talk with that accent because they speak like this in Mali. And some parts of Northern Africa have an accent like that. And it's very funny. It's very funny. Italian, I mean, I spoke Italian already. It's just very rusty, but it's much better now. My Italian went very well. I was very happy when I was in Italy. So it's back. So that was good. I mean, I had no problem. I can't find words occasionally, but I was able to talk to. Let's hear it. See, the problem is it's hard for me just to like do languages without a script, so to speak. Also, I've been talking French, which makes it harder. Allora, posso cominciare in italiano, ma non so cosa dire. Ho passato 12 giorni con il mio nipote e la sua moglie in Italia. Abbiamo rimasto in Lucca e abbiamo fatto un po' di viaggi di Lucca a Roma, a Firenze e altre città, Cinque Terre, e finalmente siamo andati 2 giorni a Roma, che mi è piaciuto tantissimo perché Roma è la mia città favorita nel mondo. There you go. That's my Italian. But I've still got to work on my accent again because my accent has fallen, and I haven't spoken Italian in 20 years. No, 18 years I haven't spoken Italian. So I needed to go back because like I love Italian so much. I mean, so much. Italian in New York and New Jersey, I can only imagine. The funny thing though is you still get, I was telling you guys when I went and bought the cheese, when I went and bought my Parmesan, thank you, Nancy, in Rome, and I got the price wrong. It was on sale, and I thought my sale price was like $9 a pound. And my Parmesan in Rome, Reggiano, the good Parmesan, was actually $6 a pound. And I told the woman, I was saying, "Oh, I'm so excited because it's on sale." And she goes, and this is great. This like Italian working class woman at a grocery store doing the checkout. Very nice lady. And I was explaining to her, "Oh, I'm so excited. It's $9 a pound." And she goes, "Oh," but she literally said that, "Oh, it's not $9 a pound. It's on sale. It's $6 a pound." But the way she told me, like, no. Instead of like in English, you go, "Oh, no. The sale's actually better than that." She didn't say it. She goes, "Oh." The sale's better than that. And it literally was like Sopranos. You know how you'll hear in the Sopranos and the TV show, the Italians going like, oh, they do that, especially in Southern Italy. It's a much more blue collar kind of thing, but it's very funny. But I love that well, that's what I mean. It's like the Sopranos thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I laughed the second she said it, and then the guy, was I telling you, the guy in the checkout store that was teaching me the word for bag, like a bag to put your food in when you leave the grocery store, because in Northern Italy, in Florence, they call it a sacco, just like in French. In French, it's a sac, S-A-C, sac, not a sock as in a stocking, but a sacco, like a sack. And in Florence, they call it a sacco. So he says, do you want a guba? I think it was guba. And I went, a what? And he says, a guba, voy una guba. And I'm like, non so cos'è. And he goes, a guba, a sack. And I said, oh, a sacco. He goes, no, not sacco, guba. And I said, okay, but in Florence, they taught us, everybody was using the word sacco. And he goes, it was great. Because I said, in Florence, they use the word sacco. He goes, in Italian, we say guba. And basically it was this cute little response to how the Florentines speak, going, yes, I'm sure in Florence they say sacco, but in Italian we say guba. It was just very funny. Thank you, user 424. I love the Italian, and they're very chatty too. So my favorite thing, I was showing my nephew this, was in Florence, not Florence, but the region, where they're even the Romans can be a little serious. I mean, in a professional setting, like in a grocery store, everyone can be a little serious, or the woman behind the counter checking in for an archaeological thing. But what I found was I liked chatting them up. So as soon as I started chatting people up, they would let their guard down and be funnier and fun and interesting. And it was very interesting. And I mean, time and again, we'd have like a waiter or waitress or somebody who just seemed a little bit mean. And I just was like, I'm going to work this, and I would always get them to break. And that's one neat thing I like with Italians, is as soon as you try to establish a little bit of a rapport, they like it, which is nice. But thank you, Sharon. Cosa vuol dire, but that's okay. That's all right. Venetians. I've been to Venice, but I haven't been there in a long time. How do you get over being shy about speaking a foreign language? I mean, first of all, you kind of need to go there, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because even for me, like I speak Italian very well, but it's still, sometimes I feel nervous speaking it. Oh, hey, Cynthia in Bolivia. You feel kind of nervous speaking it because I still get a little afraid, like, okay, am I going to understand them? Because there's also some people who just don't understand foreigners. And I forgot who, but I already had a couple different Italian people that I was speaking to, and you say something, you go, huh? And you're like, oh God, here we go. And I repeat it again very slowly, and then they kind of get it. And I don't know. It's not an easy thing to do. The earbud translators, I don't know how well they work, but I mean, I think the thing you have to do is go somewhere that is kind of that you've been dying to go to. You practice on Duolingo and some of those places. You get some of the vocabulary, and like in Italy, it also depends where you go. In Italy, most of them were happy to speak Italian if you try Italian. I mean, I speak Italian, but still, Reiko was trying her Italian, and they were into it. France, pretty much too. Germany probably wouldn't. Chuncho, you're in Chile, speak a little Spanish. I mean, puedo decir lo que quieres en español, lo que quieras. No sé cuál es subjuntivo, no me acuerdo. Pero, bueno, español hablo bastante bien, como mi francés. Francés y español son los idiomas lo mejor que hablo, ambos los idiomas. Pero bueno, como dije, es bastante difícil solo hablar en español solo cuando no tengo ningún persona para cambiar la conversación. But you get it. But yeah, good enough. Yeah, my Spanish is very good. It's hard for me to speak without anybody here. Although the funny part is, my Spanish, I'd studied for 12 years, but I really got my Spanish good in Argentina because I went to work there for 2 months when I was in graduate school. So it's funny because often if I really get relaxed or whatever in Spanish, it starts to come out, me llamo and some of those kind of things. Russian, I do speak some Russian, but I barely. I told you guys the joke was when I I was very late. I was always late for my Russian tour. I was in the Soviet Union in 1983 or 84, and I was always late. And, they would always spy on you and stuff too, because it was the Soviet Union. And our tour guide was clearly part spy or whatever. But she was with our tour group, a French tour group, even though we were all Americans. We were all Americans and one Frenchman coming from Paris as studying. So they gave us a French speaking tour guide, which was very funny. Anyways, we go to the last day of the tour, and I'm late, like I'm always late, coming to the bus, the tour bus downstairs, and I'm late, and I get on the bus, and the guide looks at me, and she says in French, Monsieur Aravosis, vous êtes en retard encore, or something, like, you're late again. And I looked at her and the bus driver. Of course, the bus driver is this like overweight, working class Soviet bus driver. And I look at her and I go, Lucha pozna chem nikogda, which in Russian was one of our dialogues we had to learn. It was a saying in Russian that means better late than never. And it was one of my dialogues. So I knew, even though I couldn't converse in Russian very well, I knew it. And oh my God, she crapped her pants. And she literally, mind you, the whole time we were speaking French, because we were a French group, she turns to me in English and goes, you speak Russian? This is the last day of the trip. And I looked at her, I went, Nimnoga, which I always forget is basically a little, like not much, just a little. But I was like, it was the funniest damn thing. So funny. But it was fun just like screwing with the Soviets, The bus driver but the bus driver let out a guffaw though when I did it. He was, literally he spit out laughter when I said that. It was fabulous. Yeah, it was very funny. But the bus driver could have been a spy too. That's very true. Right. They worry that exactly that we knew more of what was going on than we let on, but I love that. That was very funny. So yes, my Russian is very, very slight now. I can pronounce things well, but I haven't studied it in so long. Words still come back to me in Russian, but BlackRock buying the pan. I didn't see that. What are you guys talking about with BlackRock? Okay. There was an article right here. All right, hold on a second. This is the Wall Street Journal, which I do subscribe to. Let me see what the Wall Street Journal is saying here. So Wall Street Journal, who is it? Oh, CST was sharing this. Wall Street Journal, a consortium of investors led by BlackRock agreed to buy majority stakes in ports on either side of the Panama Canal, putting U.S. firms in control of two ports that Trump raised as a security concern because of their connection to China. The deal with the Hong Kong-based CK Hutchinson is worth $22 billion and also includes dozens of other ports around the world. Trump had flagged, blah, blah, blah. I'm not too worried about it. Whatever. It doesn't sound like any big deal. It sounds good to me. I don't know. Does anybody think there's a problem with that? It's better than the Chinese owning it. I'd rather have us own it. I don't trust Trump, obviously, with anything, but better than the Chinese owning it, the languages I actually know, I speak Spanish, French, and Italian well. Spanish and French, I would say fluently. Italian, it's funny. I would say I'm kind of fluent in Italian, but I have a limited vocabulary sometimes. So it's rusty, but it's very good and quick, and I can talk to anybody, but my vocabulary can be limited. Greek, I was fluent, not fluent anymore. I've studied Portuguese, but I can't speak it. I've studied Russian, but I can't speak it. I studied it, that's it. Español, bueno, hablé español antes. Y como dije, es difícil hablar solo así cuando soy solo. Es mejor cuando estoy hablando con alguien porque así es just más fácil, ¿no? Pero es difícil para crear un diálogo cuando estoy solo. Or soy solo? ¿Estoy solo? Soy solo? Estoy, I'm going to say. It's always, there's two different words for to be in Spanish. And for an American, it's very confusing. Because there's two different words and you've got to remember like which to be is it? Like I was saying, when I'm alone, is it ser or estar? It's a weird, is it estoy? I was thinking estoy, like soy solo probably means I'm lonely or something, I'm guessing. Right? But it's a weird, it's weird. Yeah, estoy, that's what I was thinking, right? Because it's a state of being, exactly, Jonathan. But anyway. I was actually funny. I was talking to this Argentine priest in Italy because we were in a church asking him questions, and he was funny because I'm like a Catholic priest, Argentine though, very fun with his American priest friend who was very serious. Cuando estoy solo es más difícil hablar español. Cierto. Well, otros idiomas también. I mean, aunque inglés. You know, I was saying even English. I mean, it's its own weird skill to be able to, like me right now, do a show with you guys because you're all here, but you're not here. I'm sitting in my, living room by myself. So it's kind of a weird thing having to like have this conversation with you when you're not really here, but you're kind of here. And it's even harder in a foreign language, I find. Just like talking about things in a foreign language when you don't have a script is not easy. A little harder anyway. But estoy enfermo. Yeah, so I remember that doesn't one of them mean pregnant, I think? Jonathan, yeah. But no, but the priest was funny because he was talking about how the other priests are picking up their Argentine Spanish and they're all using words like boludo and stuff. And I'm like, Catholic priests are using the word boludo, which is kind of a Argentine swear word, kind of. But I'm not going to translate it, but it's very funny. So, and it was very funny that a Catholic priest was like using the word boludo with me in a church in Rome. I was like, okay, this is just too weird. He was funny. He was cute. I don't remember. I didn't get his name. He was cute. He was fun too. I was like, this was like a priest I would go drink with. This guy was a riot. His American friend was very serious. This guy was a freaking riot. But too bad. Anyway, the dog is not bothering me today. She was, oh no, she's in her little bed. I'm surprised she's not, but I gave her some water today. So she's not doing, she's not being as whiny today. Call him father. I still call him daddy. Exactly. No, but he was cute. He was very cute. Anyway, she's good. Sasha, she's in her little bed on the other side of the room. So I can't really show her right now. She's kind of over there. You wanted to learn Swahili? That would be interesting. Languages are fun. The problem is it is difficult to learn enough language that you actually can do something with it. Because otherwise it's just like my Russian, there wasn't enough that, can I speak Canadian, eh? But if you don't speak enough of the other language, it can be just almost frustrating. You know what I mean? Because then you can't, but then again, it's better to know some than nothing because a lot of people don't really know other languages, Oh God, yeah, the cooking, singing priests. Yeah, they have the cooking channel, the food channel, the Food Network has got different shows in Italy, and it's not as high a quality. The one thing they do have is Ruben, who I adore. Ruben, last name I think is Biondo or Biondi, or Bondi, Biondi maybe. But he's on TikTok. Cucina con Ruben, I think. I follow him on TikTok. He's great, hilarious, cute Italian guy. And Ruben has cooking shows on the Food Network in Italy, but they're not as good as his TikTok because basically I think the people editing the show don't quite know what they're doing. Ruben is a lot of fun, very funny, and they put him in this a little more serious setting that doesn't really work. But anyway, I'm kind of curious to go try to find some of the TikTok, not the TikTok, but the Food Network shows in Italian. They had these singing priests that were hilarious because there was two priests that would cook. And then when the meal was done, this singing priest would arrive who was kind of like really flamboyant, shall we say. That's the nice way of putting it. Very funny. There also were the cooking nuns. I didn't get to see the cooking nuns. Anthony, he told me about them, but I missed the cooking nuns. But the cooking priests were hilarious, especially and the singing priest, like I said, who was just like, oh my God. At one point, the singing priest, you could tell like the one priest was clearly straight, right? And he was like, a very nice guy. He was the one that kind of took the lead in the cooking and stuff. He was the cook. And every time it was ready, the meal was ready, the singing priest would come out and sing this song about like, in Italian, about every time you invite somebody new for dinner, you found a new friend or something like that. Un nuovo amico in più or something. There's some song in Italian that I've heard on other places about that. And he would sing this song. Well, at one point, he's got the hot pasta in his hand. and it's too hot and he's going to burn himself. And he tells the priest who's the cook, he says, here, blow on it for me. And the other priest is like going, okay. And he goes, he blows on it and the other guy eats it. And you're literally going, I told Anthony, I was like, oh my God. I mean, that's a little weird. Maybe in Italy it's not weird. In America, going up to another guy about 6 inches from his face and going, here, blow on it for me. I'm crying, laughing, telling you about it now. I mean, it was one of those movies where you're like, okay, Italian Food Network. Either you're very dumb or you actually understand what's going on and you're enjoying it. Oh my God. It was so, oh, hey, Misha, good to see you. It was the funniest damn thing. Yeah, here, blow on it for me. Okay, Padre. Oh my God. I mean, it was the gayest thing. It was just the damn funniest. That show, oh my God. Actually, hold on. I've got one of the videos. I put one on TikTok. I think I've still got it here. Hold on. I must still have it here on actually, I've got to say, I should have a TikTok video of it. Hold on. Let me see. 1 second here. 1 second here. It was the funniest damn thing. Wait, Italian. Oh, maybe I did. I thought I put it up. Bah. Well, I've got the video. I'm going to find you the video. This video was the damn funniest thing, but I've got it. It's going to take me a second because I've got to. Yeah. Hold on. This is going to take me a second because I've got to go back and find this, but I've got the guy singing so you can see. I didn't get him blowing on the food, but I want you to witness this for yourself, and then you tell me what I'm saying here. Okay, this is the priest's cooking show on the Italian Food Network that I've got to find. I mean, I just have to find this. All right, hold on. I will find this. La 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 la. And then the cute Italian workers alongside the train. This was John just checking the guys out and going, okay, these were the Italian workers outside my train window. And I mean, Italy. Oh, I'm just sharing this just because, but look at these guys. You're like the train workers and you're like, damn. But hold on a second. I need to find my, my singing chefs. Actually, I should have gone to videos. Let me go to videos. Hold on. Because I don't have as many videos. That was stupid, actually. Video. Okay. Here we go. All right. Let's see here. I know I've got this. Here we go. Okay. Let me put the volume up. He's talking. He was telling Anthony. He comes and goes, "Ma che bello questo piatto." Oh my God. No, it's not drug. When you're gay, you're allowed to say it absolutely positively. When you're gay, it's absolutely a normal thing to say. Sorry about that, but it is. It was the funniest thing. Che bello questo piatto. It was like, oh my God. Absolutely incredible. Oh my God. Anyway. Oh man. Anyway, what else, guys? So actually, you know what? We've been going an hour and 50 minutes. I'm gonna call it quits again anyway. We've been going an hour and 50 minutes anyway. All right. So let's call it quits. Thank you for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow. All right. So join us then. And as always, I'm here Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern. But tomorrow's Thursday. We'll be doing our Saturday show as well. So we'll get to that when we get to that. Oh my, yes, language talk. Our language talk. But yeah, I love Italy. God, Italy was so much fun. But exactly. Che bello questo piatto. Oh my God. It cracks me up, that one. All right, guys. See everybody. Have a good evening. I'll see everybody tomorrow. All right. All right. TikTok, I'm going to start with you. Our Discord, I'm going to start with you guys. Thanks for see Amanda, Tara. Hang on. Let me get Discord going, then YouTube, then TikTok. All right. Discord. Boom. YouTube. Have a good night, guys. Oh, today in history, Winston Churchill first referred to the Soviet bloc as the Iron Curtain in 1946. Wow. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. The one with the glasses looks like one of your old priests from school. I think it's got to be a new show, though, Ashley. I mean, and was he Italian? Because these guys are Italian. The one with the glasses, well, the main chef with the glasses, I say the two have glasses. The singing guy has glasses, but so does the main chef. I think the main chef has glasses. I don't recall now. But the little singing one, che bello questo piatto. It's like, oh my God. All right. YouTube, have a good night. All right, TikTok. Good to see you guys.